In order to do this, we'll need a Linux distribution. So in this case, we're going to be using Parrot Security OS. Parrot Security OS is like Kali Linux in that it's an offensive Linux distribution designed for penetration testing. However, it feels more like a desktop environment than Kali Linux does. So in general, if you're looking to do something more than just attack networks, it'll allow you to maybe have a laptop or a dedicated device that's actually specifically for doing this, and maybe not have to jump back and forth as much as you would with something that's more specifically kind of for hacking. So you can get Parrot Security OS from their website, and you can also download a lighter version of it called Parrot Air. And Parrot Air is great because it's smaller and it mostly includes the tools that are specific for wireless attacks. So for this tutorial in particular, you don't need to download the whole version. If you want to just mess around with wireless networks, in general, you can get away with downloading Parrot Air. So you're going to need a virtual machine in order to do this. I'm using VirtualBox, and VirtualBox is fine because it's free and anyone can get started on it very quickly. So in order to run this, you'll download the image of Parrot Security OS, and you'll boot it in VirtualBox to create this wonderful virtual system. And that will give you the ability to run the attack that we'll be studying today, which is the Airgeddon framework. So Airgeddon is developed by a developer called Visitor, and he decided to create something that is a wireless attack framework that allows you to automatically attack wireless networks like Wi-Fi networks, taking advantage of the various flaws that modern WPA and WPA2 systems have. So that's a big deal because most people rely on WPA and WPA2 for security. So in order to test this out, let's go to Applications, Wireless Testing, and then 802.11 Wireless Tools, and we'll see the spooky alien logo, which lets us know that is Airgeddon. And as it runs, we'll see this scary, spooky spaceship by Visitor. And it'll very quickly check to see if we have the scripts that we need in order for it to run. And if not, then if you're in Kali Linux, you might notice several of these are not present or not found. You can either try to install them yourself, or you can just run Parrot, in which you can see everything is included by default, so we can just breeze through this step. So now you'll notice that my wireless network adapter is not included. So if you're running a virtual machine, especially VirtualBox, you'll need to go to Devices, USB, and then select the correct device. In this case, the Atheros is the chipset on the TP link that we'll be using today. And since it doesn't appear now, we'll just press enter, it'll rescan, and boom, we have number 2, WLAN 2. So after we select that, we'll need to put this into monitor mode, which is option 2, and that'll give us the ability to scan for targets. So as soon as this is in monitor mode, we're going to scan the immediate area and come up with a list of targets for us to attack based on which ones actually have people connected to the network. So this falls under option number 5, which is Handshake Tools menu. And we will put the, actually no, we already did monitor mode, so we'll go to Explore for Targets, which is option 4, which will open a window and give us a list of all the available wireless networks in the area. So we should pay particular attention to the data column, because that will be where we see people actually using these networks. It'll be evidence of people downloading stuff or streaming things, and that'll mean that there's somebody attached to the network, and this is a good network for us to attack. And we should leave this running in general for about 20 to 30 seconds in order to generate a good representation of what's in the area, and also so we don't miss anything that might be broadcasting packets a little bit less frequently. So at this point, we've let it run for about 30 seconds, and we have a number of candidates. So by pressing Control-C, Airgeddon will give us a list of all the different networks that have people connected. In this case, we only have one, which is our test network. So we'll select option 3 to take all the information from it and put it into our attack formula. So at this point, we've copied the BSSID, the channel, the ESSID, and the type of encryption. And we're going to, at this point, move on to option number 5, which is capture the handshake. So we have 3 different options, 3 different attacks, and different ones will work differently on different networks. I generally recommend starting at 1 and just going right through, because 1 tends to work the most frequently against the most networks. So we're going to attempt this, which will use our wireless network card to send out deauthentication packets, which will attempt to temporarily kick off any clients that are connected to this network. Now, this is one of the points. So with permission to use this network, we will select option 1. And by pressing enter, you'll see an attack window open on the left side, and we'll look for a WPA handshake. Boom, right there. So that took us 6 seconds. We'll press Y for yes when it asks us if we got the handshake. And congratulations, we got the handshake. We'll now save it to our special file. So in order to get that, I'll just copy a file in there to get the file path. And in this case, I'm going to name it 1 o'clock demo.cap. Boom, saved it, and there we go. So I've already demonstrated at this point, we can go home. There's no reason for us to stick around and rock you password list here. But because it's so large, I'm going to use a condensed password list that only has a couple thousand in order to demonstrate how quickly you can churn through thousands of passwords in order to guess a relatively weak one. So now let's change menus and go to number 7 to go to the main menu, and then select option 6 for the offline WPA/WPA2 decrypt menu. So once we're in this tool, we'll select option 1 to begin an aircrack-ng dictionary attack. We'll automatically have selected the captcha that we just had, but if we wanted to get a different one, we could just drag and drop it after pressing N in order to select a new one. So we're going to confirm the BSS ID, and then we're going to enter the path of a dictionary file. Now I'm going to use goodguess.txt, which is a password file that has a couple thousand passwords in it, but you can use one that you find. I particularly recommend the RockU one to begin with. So as soon as I press enter, it's going to launch a window that's going to begin to attempt to crack the password by trying a whole bunch of stuff against it.